What is up, podcast world? This is Mountains and Mesas podcast.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dustin. And we have some phenomenal things to talk about tonight. So all you UFO, paranormal activity people, be ready for some good stories. Let's hit it.
Yes, we're so ready. So we're going to start off with Dustin's story.
And I got some good stories. Starting off with just today alone, walking outside right now, seeing that orb from the other night. It's actually red tonight, and it's flickering up in the sky like a star, but completely disappearing at the same time. So I saw it completely go away, and there's no clouds up there. So what is actually going on? You know, that is literally happening at this moment. So, bam, right there for number one. Why don't you give us one, Heather?
Well, actually, so people don't know, but my brother just, he said that an orb was, following him yesterday. All the way back. Not all the way back, but he was coming back from Farmington, New Mexico, which is an hour and a half from Dulce. And he was near the Wager Ranch, and this orb was following him. And he said they pulled over, and it stopped too. It stopped in the middle of the sky. And he actually has footage, video footage, and I seen it, and I was like, wow, it looked pretty crazy. And he said that there were two drones following the orb too, which is super interesting. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we will get him on the podcast so he can talk about it. But
we'll get him as a guest on the next episode.
And my mom too, because my mom has a story very similar. When I was she said I was 4 years old or something, and I was sleeping in the back seat, and she seen something that looked kind of like a football shape, and it had lights all around it. And she pulled over. She was coming from Governador, and that is between Farmington and Dulce. And my dad was actually behind her with my brother when we were really young. And she pulled over, and she wanted to chase it, but she was like, I don't think I should, with my little daughter in the back. And she decided not to, but I will get her on the podcast so she could talk about her story, and we can hear from her, and we can hear my brother's story as well. So Dustin was talking about something that he went through when he was younger in Texas, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this is more paranormal than it is UFO. So right before I actually get into this story, I'll talk about the UFO I've seen recently within the past year that was kind of crazy. So if any of y'all have ever seen the egg-shaped type UFO, super shiny, metallic, very reflective. Well, I'm looking over these mountains, and two of them are in the sky, and I can kind of tell that they're just spinning in the same position. So the sun's going down, everything else is moving, all the shadows, but these two egg shapes are just sitting right there, spinning. And as I'm watching it, that very last spin, it goes all the way around 180 and just goes into nothing. It just, one of those doors on that half circle tray at the food station. You know what I'm talking about? That silver tray, they open it up and it just goes into nothing, so you could pick the food out, at that hotel breakfast session. Anyways, that's kind of what it was. It just turned and disappeared. Now that's the UFO side. Now I do have some paranormal activity that's happened in my life, which is pretty damn wicked, and this is a story that you're going to want to listen to all the way through. There was a time I had actually delivered a pizza to his house, his specific land, and it has been in his family for at least 3 generations. And I pulled up to his house. I gave him his pizza. He paid. And I got into my car, and I started to feel like I was surrounded by these wolves. And they just were getting closer and closer, like they were about to get me. And I got into my vehicle, and all my motor skills started to go. And I got real shaky. I couldn't see right. And I went to go put the key into the ignition, and nothing was working. Everything was going crazy, all the needles, and I started to see this light come at me, and it started off as a single pixel, like I was really zoomed in, and it started to get closer and open up, like I was seeing a different kind of world, like it was all illuminated. And whatever this figure was, it kept getting closer and closer, and like it reached out to touch me, and like I touched it, and then everything like just went to nothing, like I was in this black space. And then I tried to wake myself up, and I couldn't really move, but I can feel the keys, and I turned the ignition, and the car started, and I put it in drive, and I turned the wheel, and I ended up on the road somehow, because I couldn't see. None of this was visually active for me. That's just what I did. And by the time I got to the road, I was like, I don't know what the heck just happened to me, but I'm looking at the time, and it had been over an hour that I was in this guy's driveway when all this was going on. And I get back to Pizza Hut, and I'm like, look, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry I'm late, but some weird shit just happened to me. I was like, I gotta go home. Well, I called my aunts, because they're really religious, Catholics, and they're like, oh, you need to get your crucifix, get your rosary, and put it around you, start praying. I was like, okay. Well, a couple months go by, I'm seeing shit all the time. My hat is getting knocked off of my head when I'm washing dishes at work. Like, things are just fucking with me all the time. I'm seeing weird things in the mirror, and one day I'm driving, and my whole rosary got whipped out of the window. Just flew right out of the window, like it got whipped out, right?
That's scary. Very
bad. So at this point, I call a medium, and I'm like, look, some weird shit's going on. I need some answers. Bad mistake.
Yes.
If you ever get to that point, don't call those people. And don't talk to anything either. No. You just open doors that way. So nonetheless, this is my first experience. I don't know better, and I'm doing all the wrong things. But nonetheless, the medium told me that there was something around me, and it was trying to, be a part of me. It wasn't evil, it wasn't nasty, but it was trying to be a part of me, right? It was trying to take control. Well, that's when something told me to go to Vegas, and we ended up going to Vegas. It was a bad trip. The belt fell off of my alternator. The battery stopped charging. I'm driving around with the mag light in the middle of the night, and got pulled over by cops. The vehicle got impounded in Vegas, so we had to take a taxi to the Luxor. Then we lost our money. We had nothing to pay for things, even though the hotel was paid for. The vehicle was impounded, so we had no ride. And then all of a sudden, I got bit by 2 mosquitoes on my ankle, and it started to give me an infection, and now I can't walk. So I ended up having to call my parents for some Western Union money, and they send it, and I get on a bus to Texas, and it takes over 24 hours for the Greyhound. But nonetheless, by the time I get to Texas, my whole leg is completely swollen. It is 10 times the size it should be, and I go to the hospital immediately, and the doctor doesn't even ask me any questions. She takes a scalpel and just cuts my leg open and just squeezes all that nasty out. And it was the worst, because she had to cut me all the way down to the bone, and I had to take the gauze out every single day and replace it. So that was really, really bad.
Wow.
So the next year and a half after that, I end up having to go to the hospital because I'm not feeling well. I'm sick all the time, and the doctors are like, oh, you just got gas. So, I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before, but they gave me some antibiotics, some Vicodin or hydrocodone, and some nausea medicine. They give me all those pills, tell me I got gas, and I go home, and I want you to know that by this time, there's already been some bad things that have happened to me. I was held down on my bed by a spirit just stuck there. I was pulled out of my house like something had my wrists, pulled me all the way out of my home, down the stairs, down the street. My own dog wouldn't even come next to me because he was scared behind the stairs just watching all this happen, and I couldn't see anything. You know, luckily there was a lady staying at the house, and she called my name, and then it all stopped, and I was able to walk back down the dirt road, and it hurt my feet so bad I didn't even know how I got there the first time. So that was a wicked thing. So right up into the end there, after I had gone to see the doctor, and they said nothing was wrong, this one night, I'm sleeping in the living room, I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden, my heart rate starts to go, and it starts beating, and it's beating faster, faster. And all of a sudden, the lights start to dimmer, and it gets super dark. I get really cold. All my motor skills start to go away. I can't dial 911, and I feel my heart is beating so fast that if it stops, I'm done for. And once it completely went black and I couldn't move, my legs shot up in the air, like something grabbed my legs, pulling me off of the bed. And at that very moment, I had nothing left but to pray to Jesus. And I threw that blanket off of me, and I said, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I love you, Jesus. Please save me. I mean, and it was bam, boom, instant. And his light came down, everything went away, all the cold went away, the light was so bright I could barely open up my eyes. And he said, close your eyes and wait till morning light. So I did. And I've believed in him ever since. Now, I believed in him before because it was that moment of faith to ask for his help, and he appeared. Because nothing else was working, and it was only him. But there was and is some scary shit out there. And if you don't know, and I'm not trying to tell anybody to believe in anything, you know, that's my beliefs. Nobody can change that. Nothing can change that, because that happened to me. Mm-hmm. So understand, he's there, and he was there for me. So I've seen him in a different way, and he loves us, and he only wants us to ask for his help and his guidance. And now, things are different. Everything is different.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I told Dustin too, like, I grew up going to church, and I went to a Christian school. So I feel like at a very young age, you know, I was always wanting to go to church, and I was probably like 11 when I like made my profession of faith. And I was like, I want to go to heaven. I do not want to go to hell, you know, and I knew that for myself. And I dealt with a lot of paranormal things in my life too. Like, I've had these dreams where I got pulled out of my bed. Something like pulled me from my feet, where I felt something grab me and like pull me out of my bed, and then I would wake up. Or I actually have these dreams that I seen like a little UFO, like a little spaceship in my room. And I had these dreams of seeing gray aliens too. And now that I'm older, I'm like, what did that mean? Like, did I really see that? Was that real? Was that a dream? I'm not sure. But I grew up in Dulce, and you know, you hear a lot of stories, and when I hear these stories, I'm like, I don't think anyone could tell these stories unless you actually like lived here all of your life. And I've seen so many things too. Like I've seen like crazy things in the sky. One time I seen this like spaceship like super close. I want to say I was 16, between 16 and 18, and I was on the hill. So where we live on a hillside right by Archuleta Mesa, aka the Dulce base. Like I come outside my house, that's my view, and I seen something like go by, and it was super huge, like the size of a football field, and it looked like concrete, like the outside of it, and it just like flew over town, and there was no sound. You just like saw it go by, and I was like, did I just see that, or am I tripping? Like I was not sure, but honestly, like now that I think back, I'm like, I think I really did see that. And there's like so many crazy weird things that you see around here, and now that I'm older and I think about it, I realize that I have seen like so many things. Every spring and summer we see a lot of weird lights that are, I mean, not super close but far away. Like you see these they look like stars, but they just like go by. And when I first met Dustin, I told him about it, and he was like, okay. He didn't really think too much. And then now he's seen those things. He's seen like the military activity in our area as well, right?
And I'll tell you, I've only been here for just under 2 years, and the things I've seen, UFOs, military activity, and I'm not talking about just regular military. I'm talking about big military equipment, big planes, carriers, Black Hawk helicopters. I'm talking about some weird military going on, and then they're landing. Where the fuck are they landing? There's not even an airstrip around here, so that's weird all on its own. And that's just in the past. Oh, and don't forget about the mutilated horse we found. And I know
last summer we
well, I was gonna say, I know that there's other stories because we saw it on TV, one of those channels, and there was another animal that got mutilated just like the horse we found.
And that was like in southern Colorado.
A perfect circle right in the asshole, like
area.
Laser.
What we saw. And we took pictures, we took videos, actually put a video on YouTube about it.
Still got it.
And so I posted that just like on my personal Instagram page, because my Instagram is private. I don't just let anyone be my friend. I have to know you to approve you. So a lot of people don't see what I post. But someone was like, oh, that's just a coyote that got to it, or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, whatever.
But animals tear their food. There was no tear.
No, it was super crazy. And then when I seen that episode on TV, I was like, that is what happened to that animal that we had found.
Shout out to Ancient Aliens. They'll get a lot of things right. And that horse had
History
no
Channel,
organs.
yes.
Had no organs. It wasn't torn.
Animals it was like,
not get
okay,
to it.
So to tell the story, me and Dustin went for a country cruise last summer. On the Hickory Apache Reservation. And I was very busy. So it was like the only time that we got a chance to go out. I was like, I feel like I need to go for a ride out there. So we did. So we went to this area where my grandpa grew up, and he has land out there. And it's called the Ouida. And we went to Wells Lookout on the Hickory Apache Nation Reservation. So we went out there and we found this horse that just looked, it was crazy. Like it looked like it had been dead for a while, but
No,
it just looked
fresh, actually.
Well,
so it looked like it was only dead for maybe a couple of days at most.
It just looked like all of its like organs and everything like were taken.
They were gone.
We thought it was weird, so I took pictures and a video of it because of course I will document anything that I find. And then on the way back, we stopped to where my grandpa had his like land. He had this piece of property there, and I had the key, so I showed Dustin, and we went in, and he was driving, and he was like, "There's something right there. Let's like check it out." So I'm like, "Okay," and we did. So we stopped and we got out, and it was very fresh, and we seen like. It looked like something went into its ass. Like it, I guess, like now that we think about it, like a laser cut.
Perfect laser
It was
cut.
like perfectly like cut from the ass.
I'm telling you, perfect circle.
And
people.
They took all of like the inside of it, whatever it was.
Now you can tell
we do have the video, so you could look it up.
Right.
It is on YouTube. I put it on YouTube.
If you see it, give us some comments, because it is. I hope other people have experienced this.
Well, no, and then so I seen that episode on the History Channel, and I was like, oh my god, that's like the same shit that we seen, and that was like in southern Colorado, and I was just like, wow, and that's kind of it is like super crazy, like.
And I'll give you a little history on Dulce. So they've actually been receiving hits on UFO activity and whatnot on the land since 1979. And Heather's father was a rancher and was actually one of the very first to witness cow mutilations, had documentation, and then it was all stolen from him. So that was part of Heather's past all on its own. So trust me, she's lived with these kind of things and activities almost her whole life. So believe me, when she says she saw something, it's not something she's making up. This is the real deal. And when I tell you it's something, I don't even have space to make shit up like this. It's definitely what I'm seeing in the sky and what I've seen in life. So this has been a great podcast. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Do we have anything more to talk about with UFOs? What else have you seen?
Well, okay, since you mentioned my father, I am Gomez, and the Gomez family has been in this area for years, and they are ranchers. And when I was a kid, I want to say 7 years old or so, my dad had mentioned about the cows being mutilated on the ranch a long time ago. So our family has a ranch in Gobernador, and that's between Dulce and Farmington. And he said that he was in the newspaper for these mutilations, and he had pictures, and he said that somebody had broke into the house and in Lumberton, that's near Dulce. It's like the town that's right next to Dulce. And the pictures disappeared. And now that I'm older and I think back about these things, I'm like, that's super crazy. And I can ask my dad because he passed away 10 years ago. But he did tell me some stories. There was a time that I was working on a project for one of my college classes, and I was doing a book. It wasn't a big book, but just a 10-page kind of little book. And I told my dad I need some stories for it, and he told me his story. So I actually have the drawing that my dad made, and he drew out what he saw. He saw something coming back from Farmington, and my mom did too when I was 4 years old. I think I mentioned this at the beginning, and they said it looked like a football, but just lights all around the football, and it was kind of big, and it was following them. And my mom was really young at the time, and she was she wanted to follow it, but she was no, I don't think I should, because I have my daughter. She's just 4 years old, sleeping in the back. So when my brother told me his story last night, I was like, wow, that's very interesting. But no, we've seen a lot of really strange things, and it's not just like UFOs out here. There's like so many like Bigfoot stories. There's stories about trolls. I'm like,
shoot, I even got a chupacabra story.
Yeah, well, he's from Texas. Of course he does. But yeah, since you're like in elementary, there was this a troll story that the troll used to be in the gym under the bleachers watching the kids. And we could go back like 25 years ago. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be like, that happened. But the thing is, are we going to talk about it or not? Like, so there's like so many things out here, and it's funny because I've listened to other people and other podcasts, like people like from another country talking about Dulce. I'm like, I grew up here. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you need to hear from someone who actually lives here. Mm-hmm. I lived here almost all my life. Like, I went to college, of course, and came back. And that's a whole other story too, but...
No, if you're a true hunter, if you're really out there to seek truth, UFO, paranormal, all that kind of stuff, you want to come to Dulce. You're bound to have some kind of factual evidence, something to that effect. You know, it's like, come to Dulce. You know, I mean, we have a teepee for rent that faces Dulce. You could literally stay in it overnight, set your cameras up, watch the mountain all night if you please. You know, I mean, get yourself some evidence. It's here.
So you could follow us on Instagram at Dulce Base Tippy. You can book through Airbnb or a hip camp. And you can reach us at dulcebasetippy@gmail.com if you have any like special requests or questions. Of course, we're always open to like hearing those things. But there is a lot of strange activity in the area. Every summer, there's different things going on. So if you are interested in a new experience, come out and be on the reservation and learn the Hickory Apache culture at the same time. Like, it's like amazing.
It is amazing.
And a very unique opportunity.
I've been blessed to be here. I'm so happy to be here and learn this culture in these ways. No, I'm definitely grateful to be in this area and to be with you. Folks, I love this woman so much. This has been a great almost 2 years of life, and we are killing it.
Yes, we are. I love you too.
All right, guys. I'm out of here. I'm ready to get going. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll have some special guests next time talking about their experiences and what they've seen in life. So leave us your comments. Tell us what you have seen, what you've been through. Let's hear it. We'll collaborate. Let's go.
Yes, we are waiting.
All right. Peace out, world.